Hello, how's it going, everybody? Today we'll be jumping into Proverbs chapter 24, and we're going up to 26. So let me get the text up on screen here. All right, perfect. Let me check this audio, make sure we're not lagging. All right, we're not lagging. Perfect. Okay, that's it. So let us jump into this. Proverbs chapter 24. Let me get the text up, get the audio on. Okay, we're good. All right, so let's get started.
Do not be envious of evil men, nor desire to be with them, for their heart devises violence.
Right? Why is that a temptation? Like, you would think, like, why would you want to be with evil men? That doesn't make any sense. Why would I want to be with evil people? That doesn't make any sense. Well, sin is very tempting, right? Sin is seductive. It's easy to fall into sin. It's easy to be tempted by evil ways. And who commit evil deeds? Evil men. So when you think evil men, you don't think guys in hoods and all scary and hiding in alleys and stuff, doing crazy stuff. That's not necessarily evil men. Evil men could be something that is very alluring. So don't be envious of evil men. This could also be taken in the way that you see those wicked people, those evil people. They may not be doing moral things, yet look at their lifestyle. They're able to do whatever they want, have fun, eat whatever they want, drink whatever they want. They're wealthy because they can rob, cheat, steal. They can do whatever they want. They're not focusing on God. They're focusing on themselves, their wealth, their pleasure. And so in the short term, it 100% looks like, from afar, it looks like, they're living the life. They're having fun. Why can't I have fun? It doesn't make any sense. They're prospering. Why can't I prosper? What's going on? I want to be like that. So don't be envious of these evil men, nor desire to be with them. So you don't want to be their friend. You don't want to be associated with them. You don't want to be like them at all.
And their lips
For their heart devises violence, and their lips talk of troublemaking.
talk of troublemaking. Through wisdom, a house is built, and by understanding, it is established. By knowledge, the rooms are filled with all precious and pleasant riches.
So through wisdom, a house is built. So a house is built through wisdom. You are built through wisdom. And by understanding, it is established. So established means completed. So you're building the house through wisdom. That's the path you're on. And once you walk the righteous path, the path of wisdom, what's the next move, right? First, what is the beginning of knowledge? The fear of God. Once you fear God, you start on the path of righteousness, the path of wisdom. And then what do? Once you know which path to go, what do you try to do? You gain. Once you have that fear of God, what do? You start to want to gain understanding. And by understanding it, you are now established. The house is established. And then by knowledge, the knowledge that you gain from the understanding and from walking this path of wisdom, you fill the rooms with. By knowledge, the rooms are filled. You are filled. Your life is filled with this knowledge, with all precious and pleasant riches. So, as you walk this path, your life will be filled with knowledge, and you will attain wealth. You don't have to run after. That's what we talked about yesterday. You don't have to run after wealth. Build yourself up as a person and build your relationship with God, and the wealth will come. You'll
A
see
wise
opportunities
man
open up.
is strong. Yes, a man of knowledge increases strength. For by wise counsel you will wage your own war. And
So don't think like, seeking wisdom, seeking God is not being strong. That is strong, right? You don't need brute strength. Is not only in the form of brute strength, right? Yes, a wise man is strong. A man of knowledge increases strength. And a man of knowledge increases his own strength, and he would also increase the strength of others because he wants to see the betterment of himself and the people around him.
in a multitude of counselors there is safety.
For by wise counsel you will wage your own war. And in a multitude of counselors there is safety. So that's why a man of knowledge increases strength. So if you have multiple men of knowledge around you, you're increasing your strength. In a multitude of counselors there is safety. So the people that you surround yourself with is extremely important. You shouldn't surround yourself with unwise people. You surround yourself with wise people. People that you can learn from, people that you can grow with,
Wisdom is too lofty for a fool. He does not open his mouth in the gate. He who plots to do evil will be called a schemer. The devising of foolishness is sin, and the scoffer is an abomination to men. If you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. Deliver those who are drawn toward death, and hold back those stumbling to the slaughter. If you say, "Surely we did not know this," does not he who weighs the hearts consider it? He who keeps your soul, does he not know it? And will he not render to each man according to his deeds? My son, eat honey because it is good, and the honeycomb which is sweet to your taste. So shall the knowledge of wisdom be to your soul. If you have found it, there is a prospect.
So like honey, that's something sweet. That's something your tongue would desire, right? People have sweet tooths, and sometimes you just crave it. And so I'm sure honey was really yummy back then. Like they would, it's still yummy today, but especially then because they didn't have as many options as us today. But so it is sweet to your taste. It is good. You'll really like it. You'll be drawn to it. You'll want it. So shall knowledge of wisdom be to your soul. Your soul will crave wisdom. It'll want it.
And your hope will not be cut off. Do not lie in wait, O wicked man, against the dwelling of the righteous. Do not plunder his resting place. For a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again, but the wicked shall fall by calamity.
There's a long game.
Do not
the righteous path, that's a
rejoice
long
when your
game.
enemy falls, and do not let your heart be glad when he stumbles, lest the Lord see it and it displease him.
All right, this is a huge point. Do not rejoice when your enemy falls, and do not let your heart be glad when he stumbles, lest the Lord see it and it displeases him, and he turn away his wrath from him. This is the exact opposite ideology of David. Of Asaph, those guys. Because David was a military man. So the way he viewed a victory to David equaled the destruction of his enemy, right? There was no way to attain victory without the destruction of your enemy. A victory equals destruction of your enemy. That's how it is on the battlefield, right? If you make peace, there's no battle. Therefore, you're not even on the battlefield. So, and David was a warring man. So he's a soldier. He's on the battlefield. How do you win in battle? You can't. There's no way to win where everybody's fine. You know. There's no way to win by looking only at yourself. You have to kill the opposing army. Their destruction equals your win. So we were talking about this earlier. Like nowadays, you could say like the mindset would be focus on yourself. If God blesses you and does something good for you, that's a win for you. Why are you worried about what happens to them? If they get destroyed, if they stay prospering, whatever happens to them, take this as a win for yourself. You don't need to see them be destroyed. But David's mindset wasn't like that. And here we see Solomon's mindset was not like David's. His mindset is similar to our mindset today. We're coming from a place of privilege, right? David was not privileged enough to not witness war, right? Solomon was wealthy, He was wealthy, he was wise, he was ruling over the people. So he didn't see as much war as David did. So what does he say? Do not rejoice when your enemy falls. Except that's exactly what David would have done. Do not let, or anybody in war would have done, do not let your heart be glad when he stumbles, lest the Lord see it and it displeases him. That's interesting. Because I was taking up this stance when we were talking about David, but then I was thinking like, okay, from David's point of view, it makes sense the way he's thinking. So that's interesting. That's really interesting that his son thinks differently due to the circumstances and the environment that he's been raised in.
And he turn away his wrath from him. Do not fret because of evildoers, nor be envious of the wicked, for there will be no prospect for the evil man. The lamp of the wicked will be put out. My son, fear the Lord and the king. Do not associate with those given to change, for their calamity will rise suddenly. And who knows the ruin those two can bring? These things...
That's interesting. My son, fear the Lord and the king. So he believes, and he says, do not associate with those given to change. So everything can change. Trends can happen. People can lose faith, build their faith back, all this stuff. People are malleable, right? And their mindset and their ideologies and their actions, people change all the time. But what doesn't change? God doesn't change. God, what is God? He's the rock. He's constant. He's not changing. And what is Solomon also thinks that the king should be like that. The king should be like that for his people. Be a constant. Be a rock, unchanging in your faith to God and your actions and how you rule. So he's telling his son, do not associate with those given to change, for their calamity will rise suddenly. And who knows the ruin those two can bring. But then again, we saw what happened with Solomon's reign himself. He changed. So you can't put the king with God. Just because the king is ruling over the people and God put him in that position doesn't mean he can be constant like God, because he's still a man. Solomon himself changed by the end of his rule, right? He adopted paganism. He was influenced by his wives, and he brought in the high towers, the high places, gave altars to his wives so they can pray to their gods. So that's interesting to see. This is obviously before all that happened.
Also belong to the wise. It is not good to show partiality in judgment. He who says to the wicked, you are righteous, him the people will curse. Nations will abhor him. But those who rebuke the wicked will have delight, and a good blessing will come upon them
That's interesting. Do not rejoice when your enemies fall, and do not let your heart be glad when he stumbles. Yet, those who rebuke the wicked will have delight, and a good blessing will come upon them. That's interesting. What do you guys think about that?
Those who rebuke the wicked will have delight, and a good blessing will come upon them. He who gives a right answer kisses the lips. Prepare your outside work. Make it fit for yourself in the field, and afterward build your house. Do not be a witness against your neighbor without cause, for would you deceive with your lips? Do not say, I will do to him just as he has done to me. I will render to the man according to his work. I went by the field of the lazy man, and by the vineyard of the man.
This is interesting also. Do not say, I will do to him just as he has done to me. I will render to the man according to his work. This is interesting because it's sort of going against the law of Moses back in the day, those Levitical laws. Those were more like eye for eye type of things, be fair trade. That's why. So maybe those laws were just put into place to give Israel some sort of structure, because they didn't have any structure coming out of Egypt. And then now they can branch out. I wonder what God thinks about this. Do not say, I will do to him just as he has done to me. I will render the man according to his work. I'm curious, what does God think about that? I'm assuming that he would agree with this, because what did Jesus say? Turn the other cheek. Jesus was more in line with this than the eye for an eye type of ideology. That's interesting.
And devoid of understanding, and there it was, all overgrown with thorns. Its surface was covered with nettles. Its stone wall was broken down. When I saw it, I considered it well. I looked on it and received instruction. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. So shall your poverty come like a prowler, and your need like an armed man.
Solomon using lines he used before all again. Okay, 25.
These also are proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied.
It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of...
That's interesting. These are proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied. So these are copies of Solomon's proverbs, but they're using a different voice actor because they were written by Hezekiah, king of Judah. Well, men of Hezekiah. That's interesting. Even though that they are Solomon's words, because they were written by men of Hezekiah, they're using a different voice actor.
Kings is to search out a matter. As the heavens for height and the earth for depth, so the heart of kings is unsearchable. Take away the dross from silver, and it will go to the silversmith for jewelry.
Is there a different voice actor?
Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne will be established in righteousness. Do not exalt yourself in the presence of the king, and do not stand in the place of the great. For it is better that he say to you, Come up here, than that you should be put lower in the presence of the prince, whom your eyes have seen. Do not go hastily to court. For what will you do in the end when your neighbor has put you to shame? Debate your case with your neighbor, and do not disclose the secret to another, lest he who hears it expose your shame, and your reputation be ruined.
That's interesting. So don't run into court and try and lay blame on your neighbor because is it talking about the neighbor? That's what I'm getting from it. I can read it again. It's like, don't run to court blame on your neighbor. Maybe you have a dispute, because then your neighbor can come and expose you for whatever you've done. So do not hastily go to court, for what will you do in the end when your neighbor has put you to shame? Debate your case with your neighbor, and do not disclose the secret to another, right? Because if you run to the court and say, hey, this is what happened, blah, 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 this is what my neighbor did, the neighbor will come and say, hey, but he did this and this and this. So instead of doing that, instead of putting your neighbor's secrets out there, because he will put yours out there, settle it amongst yourselves. So neither of your secrets are out in the public, and you get it done. You get it settled. You don't have to have the courts and the government always in your business, right? You can take care of things on your own.
Neighbor, and do not disclose the secret to another, lest he who hears it expose your shame, and your reputation be ruined. A word fitly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. Like an earring of gold and an ornament of fine gold is a wise rebuker to an obedient ear. Like the cold of snow in time of harvest is a faithful messenger to those who send him, for he refreshes the soul of his masters. Whoever falsely boasts of giving is like clouds and wind without rain. By long forbearance, a ruler is persuaded, and a gentle tongue breaks a bone. Have you found honey? Eat only as much as you need, lest you be filled with it and vomit. Seldom set foot in your neighbor's house, lest he become weary of you and hate you. A man who bears false witness against his neighbor is like a club, a sword, and a sharp arrow. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a bad tooth and a foot out of joint.
Ouch.
Like one who takes away a garment in cold weather, and like vinegar on soda is one who sings songs to a heavy heart. If your enemy is hungry, give him bread to eat. And if he is thirsty, give him water to drink. For so you will heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you.
What? I was thinking it's going to go in more in the direction where, he might not be your enemy anymore if you do that. But it's saying, for so you will heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you.
Coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you. The north wind brings forth rain, and a backbiting tongue, an angry countenance. It is better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a contentious woman.
Yeah,
As cold water to a weary soul, so is good news from a far country. A righteous man who falters before the wicked is like a murky spring and a polluted well. It is not good to eat much honey.
A righteous man who falters before the wicked is like a murky spring or a polluted well. Because you need that contrast, the righteous man and the wicked. If the righteous man falters, what kind of example is he? What kind of example is he to the wicked? He'll look like a murky spring or a polluted well. He won't be that clear, clean water. He'll look polluted. And if the righteous man is polluted, why would the wicked? Okay, look at him. What's the point? You have to be. That's why if you were walking the righteous path, you need to be strong in the path, especially when you're around the wicked. Not only for yourself, because you don't want to fall to temptation. You don't want to be taken up by wicked ideas or wicked acts. You also want to set an example for them. And a polluted well is no good example. You want a clean, clear well.
So to seek one's own glory is not glory. Whoever has no rule over his own spirit is like a city broken down without walls. As snow in summer and rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool.
Oh, okay.
Like a flitting sparrow, like a flying swallow, so a curse without cause shall not alight. A whip for the horse, a bridle for the donkey, and a rod for the fool's back.
Ouch.
Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you also be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes.
Do not answer a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. Oh, okay, lest he be wise in his own eyes. Okay.
He who sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. Like the legs of the lame that hang.
Solomon has been saying this over and over again. Don't put your trust in a fool. Don't promise a fool. Don't make a promise for a fool. Don't have fools surround you. You know. Yeah, Solomon is drawing a clear line in the sand. He's like, don't go there.
Limp is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Like one who binds a stone in a sling is he who gives honor to a fool. Like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard.
Like one who binds a stone in a sling is he who gives honor to a fool. Right? You wouldn't want to bind a stone in a sling. You just want to place it in the sling, not bind it to it, because then when you whip it off, when you sling it, the stone is going to, you want it to fly.
Is a proverb in the mouth of fools. The great God who formed everything gives the fool his hire, and the transgressor.
Yo, I just like a thorn. Solomon is dissing like a thorn that goes into the hand of a drunkard. So what happens? You have this drunkard, right? And the thorn goes into his hand. So he's screaming and yelling. Right? He's screaming and yelling all this nonsense. Is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Dang, okay. I see you, Solomon.
His wages. As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly.
It's turning into a Solomon diss track.
Wise in his own eyes?
But Solomon's having his own roast session for fools.
Folly. Do you see a man wise in his own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for him. The lazy man says, there is a lion in the road. A fierce lion is in the streets. As a door turns on its hinges, so does the lazy man on his bed. The lazy man buries his hand in the bowl. It wearies him to bring it back to his mouth.
Come on, Solomon, you're
is
repeating.
Wiser in his own eyes than
Oh, wait, this is not really Solomon. Or it is Solomon, but it was written by the men of Hezekiah. These are copies.
7 men who can answer sensibly. He who passes by and meddles in a quarrel not his own is like one who takes a dog by the ears. Like a madman who throws
Are these copies, or is that only
arrows
25?
and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. Where there is no...
Wait, like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking.
wood, the fire goes out. And where there is no talebearer, strife ceases. As charcoal is to burning coals, and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a talebearer are like tasty trifles, and they go down into the inmost body. Fervent lips with a wicked heart are like earthenware covered with silver dross. He who hates disguises it with his lips, and lays up deceit within himself. When he speaks kindly, do not believe him. For there are 7 abominations in his heart. Though his hatred is covered by deceit, his wickedness will be revealed before the assembly.
Behind closed doors.
Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and he
Ouch.
who rolls a stone will have it rolled back on him. A lying
So, you reap what you sow.
tongue hates those who are crushed by it, and a flattering mouth works ruin.
That is it for today. Tomorrow we'll jump into chapter 27. Whoa. We'll jump into chapter 27. I'm assuming we're going to go into more of these proverbs because it's entitled Proverbs, right? So, let's see how much more we have of Proverbs. Proverbs goes up to, 2 more days of Proverbs. So, hope you enjoyed today's reading. Tomorrow we'll jump into chapter 27. We literally got a diss track from Solomon today. That was actually funny. So hope you guys enjoyed that. Tomorrow we'll jump into 27. And hope you have a great rest of your day. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.